What's up, guys? Today we are on location for an interview shoot that we're doing. We're doing a 2-cam setup, and we're also using a Booklight for the first time. So today we're going to kind of be walking through that setup and just the overall lighting setup of everything, camera setup, everything else. We're on the C300 Mark III, and we're also on the C7D. So we'll kind of just walk you around, show you what the setup looks like, and show you what the final shots look like. So let's get to it. So I didn't get a chance to talk through the rest of the video on location about the setup. We were just a little bit too busy and had a lot going on. So what I'm gonna do today is kind of break down the setup after the fact, walk through some BTS footage, talk about the Booklight setup that we did, and just kind of like the lighting setup in general for this interview, and talk about some thoughts and everything else like that. This was a 2-camera setup. We had the C70 on A cam with a 24mm lens, and then we had the C300 on B cam with an 85mm lens. As you can see, is a 2-person kind of interview setup. It's not really an interview because they're talking to the camera. They're sort of talking from a script and bouncing back and forth between different talking points. And so we really wanted a 2-cam setup for this because we were definitely going to be cutting up between the different takes and between the different sections of them talking. And there wasn't going to be a ton of B-roll, so we wanted to have the ability to kind of seamlessly cut between the 2 different camera angles and make it feel like one fluid take. That's one of the biggest benefits of having a 2-camera setup for any type of interview. You have the ability to stay on the interview subject, but be able to cut between different takes and different segments and cut with different camera angles, maintain a seamless kind of flow where normally you would have to throw B-roll over something that you're cutting up. First camera's locked down, second camera is on tripod, just kind of moving back and forth between the 2 people talking. The location that we were in had a lot of windows, so I wanted to make sure that we had enough light output to be able to balance the exposure for outside with all the windows. So I thought this was a good opportunity to try out a Booklight. This is the first Booklight that we did, so I was excited to kind of get it set up. So starting off with the Booklight, what we did for this setup is we had a 600D Pro on a C-stand pointed away from the subjects into a 40-inch by 40-inch ultra bounce, and we had that just like on a C-stand kind of draped over the light so that we kind of had a bit of like an angled curve to the ultra bounce. And so basically we just shot that into the ultra bounce, and then that light bounced back, and then we had a 6x frame up with a light diffusion material that bounced light was going through to light the subjects as a key. We were kind of playing around. Obviously the 600D is a really powerful light. At first we had it at like 30%, and then we were kind of adjusting some of the settings, and I think we ended up settling on like 75% for the 600D. So definitely still had more to possibly work with, but it didn't end up that we needed it. But yeah, overall really like this for kind of a softer look. You're still getting a ton of intensity, but it is definitely more soft than just having a sort of one point diffusion, like a light dome, or just shooting a light through a source of diffusion. Having 2 people that were kind of at different distances, it was nice to be able to like not have to worry about kind of like different angled keys or anything like that. Just be able to have one big source that's sort of cascading onto both of them somewhat equally. So that was kind of an important thing to do. Not sure what the diffusion material is. It just came with the 6x frame that we had, but you can see here that you can fully see through. Sam's like shooting from the other side here. You can fully see through the diffusion material to the 600D. All right, so yeah, as you can see here, we have the 600D down low, and it's angled sort of up, probably at like a 45-degree angle, something like that, into this ultra bounce. And so this is basically just solid white, and this light is bouncing off, going through this diffusion material and giving nice soft light. And we're also just kind of like motivating, not that these windows are in the frame, but we're basically just motivating from these large windows that are already the house, obviously. So, and then also right here, so we just have a floppy here. So it's just a black solid floppy. So this is kind of just set up to prevent some of the light bleeding through. This is like a space right here where the frame ends to where the wall is. And so this basically is just put up so that we're not having a bunch of harder light bleeding through and kind of hitting the back ceiling and potentially like hitting them a little bit. So we just threw that up there. Quick little note to add, got little shot bags on everything. Very, very important for set safety, and especially when you're working with kind of larger setups and having this 6 foot by 6 foot frame or potentially a bigger frame up and some kind of heavier, bigger lights and flags and stuff like that. Just having these little guys on everything is a must for set safety. So here you kind of get a good angle seeing the light come through, and then you have the floppy right here blocking off the harder light coming through. And here you kind of have a view of the angle of the Ultra Bounce. Didn't really want to do it like fully open because this is kind of creating a nice, like I said before, a nice like curve to the bounced light, as opposed to just having like a, you know, fully opened one where we're not necessarily getting the most focused light back through the diffusion material. Real quick for audio, we just had 2 shotguns set up for each of them. So we had our NTG3 and then our Sennheiser MKH50, I believe. Right here you can see on the opposite side, so here's our B cam right here, which is the C300, and we also had a CNE85 on that. And then you can also see, excuse my messy handwriting, you can also see we had a fill light right here. So this is actually our Aputure 600D with our Light Dome Mini. We have that just basically on a little pigeon plate right here, and it's kind of just set on the couch, on the arm of the couch. We just wanted a little bit of fill. We were kind of getting too much shadow on the other side of their faces, and so this was kind of an easier way to get some fill as opposed to putting up like a bounce or a reflector on the other side. And that way we have kind of full control of the intensity and everything else of being able to sort of set how much fill we want and not have to like move any types of stands around or bounces or anything like that. So this worked out really well and gave kind of just a nice subtle fill to them. And here's a better angle of the pigeon plate just positioned up on that armrest right there. Sometimes the setups aren't the prettiest, but they get the job done. And then here's our A-cam frame right here. So you can see we were working with the background being kind of like this open kitchen and living room. And so you'll see in a second the lights that we use to basically light the background and sort of edge the people on camera and everything else. These are our 2 lights kind of on the right side of the frame basically that are out of frame. This first light right here is our 120D, and it has a reflector on it, and it's actually just pointed up at the ceiling right here at, I believe it's at 100%, and it's basically just giving really nice fill light into the entire background. So this actually saved us like a lot of time as opposed to having to more precisely light all of the background. We just have this shot up into the ceiling, and it's essentially just lighting the entire kitchen, and it's basically making it look like all of the kitchen lights are on. We're getting that really nice color balance at 5600, and we don't have to deal with any specific, I don't know, like micro adjusting or changing anything. So this actually worked out really nicely. It may be a different story if the ceiling was a different color, wasn't as bright and white, but generally most ceilings are going to be pretty lightly colored. So for the most part, it's always a nice thing when you can just kind of utilize your surroundings and your environment to be able to sort of shape light and bounce light and everything else. So, and then the light directly to the right of that is our 300D Mark II, and we have that with a Fresnel lens and then barn doors on that. That's basically just acting as kind of like an edge light, a hair light for both of them. We have it, I'm not sure if we had it more like on the spot or more of the flood angle, but it's essentially just giving nothing too hard, but some good light to separate them from the background, because the background was also pretty brightly lit, so it was important to have kind of this edge light lighting sort of their hair and the sides of them to really get that separation going from them and the kitchen. All right, so that kind of wraps up the breakdown of this lighting setup. We had a lot of fun on the shoot. It was a fun time to experiment with new lighting and new techniques and everything else. The Booklight's a really effective tool and definitely going to be using it more. Also maybe doing some cove lighting, some other stuff like that in the future. If you guys like this video, feel free to drop a like, drop a sub, shoot your questions, comments down below. If you have any recommendations for future videos, let me know. We're all ears. Hope you guys enjoyed. Until next time, peace. Sam, I'm drinking.